Now let's move on to the last two items, conditionals and until section in the playbook. We are back in our Apache install YAML file. Before we proceed further, let's perform some cleanup. We will remove the debug statement from our Ansible playbook, which we have already seen in the previous demo. We have also seen the loop section in action. Now let's discuss conditionals and use them in our playbook. Conditionals are basically control flow constructs like if and else statements in other programming languages. Let's create a new task and name it testing conditional. Here we are going to run a shell command for uptime, so we will configure the command as shell:uptime. Next, we are going to add the when directive. Here, when is the keyword for using conditionals. So this is like the if statement in a conditional construct. Next, we need to provide the actual condition. Say if we want the condition to be Ansible_hostname == node02, which basically implies that we want to run this task or command only on node 02. As you can see, the syntax for conditionals is very similar to a typical Python program. Now let's save our playbook and run it and review its output. Execute Ansible-playbook apache_install.yaml-b. And now, from the output, let's pay attention to the testing conditional task. Its output states skipping node 01. This is because currently we are running the playbook against node 01, but we really want to execute that task only if the task runs on node 02. Since the condition was not met, so the command was skipped and not executed. That is exactly what we expected, so our condition worked. Let's go back to the playbook and modify the condition. Here we will just replace node 02 with node 01 and run the playbook again to verify and see whether it's working. Okay, let's save this playbook and run it again. Execute Ansible-playbook apache_install.yaml-b. And this time around, we see that the status of the conditional task is changed, which means it actually ran on the target host because the condition was met. Earlier, when the condition wasn't met, it was skipping the task. So we have completed loops and conditionals. Now let's proceed with until. Until is also similar to loop Ansible section. And you may have already guessed, until is similar to the do-while loop in other programming languages. Basically, until instructs our Ansible playbook or task to run until some condition is met. Let's modify our YAML file and start with our example. We will create yet another task here in this file called testing until. For its command, we will pick the shell command service apache2 status. So here the intention is to run service apache2 status shell command and then register the result into a variable called result. This variable can be used for debugging later. But what if we want to run the status command until the service is actually in a running state? For that, we will need to use until followed by some condition. In this case, the condition could be result.stdout.find active open bracket running close bracket exclamation mark equals -1. Then specify retries as 5 and delay as 5. Now to break it down, we are looking for the output of the command service status. From that output, we are trying to find the text active, open brackets, running, close brackets. Once we find the active running status, that will be our signal to stop checking the status and move on to other steps in the playbook. We are going to wait 5 seconds between every retry, and we will try to check the status every 5 seconds. In a nutshell, we will just run the Apache2 status command on the target node every 5 seconds for 5 times until the service stops running. Now let's make sure our condition is actually correct. Let's go to the command line window. Let's log in to our node 01 and start the Apache service. Service Apache2 start. And now that the service has started, let's execute service Apache2 status. So if it's active, it should show active, open brackets, running, close brackets. We will copy this exact string so that we can make sure our condition is correct. Now log out of the node and edit our YAML file with VI editor. And now let's paste the string here in our condition. So here this is just going to execute a Python command to find a particular string in the variable value, and it will return -1 if it is not found. Okay, now let's save our playbook and run it now. Execute Ansible -playbook Apache _install.yaml -b. Oh dang, it shows an error has occurred. Looks like we have misspelled until. There was a double L in until. So let's remove it and now run it and review the results. Let's make sure our playbook is correct. Here we are trying to run service Apache2 status command and store its return value in a variable called result. We repeat this max 5 times with a delay of 5 seconds until the service is up and running. So we can see we are stopping the service here and then restarting it via a notification to the handler. Here the key thing is that the template task will not fire a notification because our template has already been copied over. So the template is already present on the target host. So this particular task will skip, which means that Apache will be in stopped state. So if this playbook works properly, then testing until task will run 5 times and will fail after 5 trials. Let's save our playbook and run it. Now the script is running and tasks are running. We can see the template copy command returned an OK status since the template we have already copied over to our node. Because of this, there was no notification, so Apache service has not started. Since our service is stopped, our until task is querying for the status of the service and it is retrying. And after 5 retries, it should fail. And it has failed now. It retried 5 times and with a delay of 5 seconds, and then it failed. We can see each retry is saving the output of the command. It shows the attempt number and other details about the retry.